Imagine this. Buried somewhere in the Arizona desert lies a massive pottery jar filled with emeralds. Not just any emeralds, stones described by Spanish conquistadors as possessing the fineness and quality of the world's most precious gems. And here's the staggering part. This isn't just one treasure. Over 100 identical caches are scattered across southern Arizona, each worth millions. They've been sitting there, untouched, for nearly 600 years. So here's the question. What happened to the legendary treasure of the Hohokam, and why did an entire civilization vanish, leaving behind a fortune in gemstones that rivals Cortez's Aztec plunder? Welcome to today's episode, where we're diving into one of North America's most tantalizing treasure mysteries, a story of ancient curses, stubborn priests, and enough buried emeralds to make any adventurer grab a shovel. Welcome to Southwest Desert, where adventure meets the arid beauty of the American Southwest. Join us as we explore the rugged landscapes, uncover hidden historical gems, and dive deep into the lost gold legends and gold mining history of this iconic region. Please leave a like or comment. This is very helpful. Let's journey together into the heart of the Southwest Desert. Our story begins with the ghost of an entire civilization that flourished along Arizona's river valleys and then simply disappeared around 1450. The Hohokam were master engineers who built irrigation canals 30 feet wide, constructed four-story temple complexes rivaling Spanish cathedrals, and created over 100 cities along the Gila, Verde, and Salt rivers. But what makes them fascinating to treasure hunters is what they left behind. Imagine walking through these ancient cities, multi-story buildings with interior walls shining with pottery work, rivaling the finest ceramics of Puebla, Mexico, massive canals feeding an agricultural system that wouldn't be matched in North America for 4 centuries. And at each city's center, a massive temple where precious offerings to the gods were stored in sacred rooms. The Hohokam were almost certainly connected to the Aztec Empire, which means they had access to something the Aztecs possessed in staggering quantities: emeralds. When Cortez conquered the Aztecs, he discovered emerald hoards that boggled the European mind. If the Hohokam were part of this trade network, their temples would have accumulated similar wealth over centuries. Then, around 1450, they simply walked away. Every city, abandoned, and they left their treasures behind. Fast forward to 1694, when Jesuit priest Eusebio Francisco Kino pushed north and stumbled upon the ruins. This man spent 17 years crisscrossing the brutal Sonoran desert, and on one journey, he found something extraordinary. Rising from the desert stood a massive structure, as large as a castle, he wrote, and equal to the largest church in these lands of Sonora. The local Pima tribe called it Casa Grande, the big house, and they told Kino something remarkable. This building was the temple of Moctezuma, and somewhere nearby lay buried a large olla, a pottery vessel, filled with precious stones of emerald quality. But according to Pima legend, anyone who touched it would cause it to sink deeper. Anyone who tried to take it would fall to the bottom of the hole. Kino believed the Pima testimony. These were specific, detailed accounts passed down through generations about what the ancient ones had left behind. In 1697, Kino returned with Spanish officer Captain Juan Mateo Monge. Monge documented everything in his book Luz de Tierra Incognita, Light of the Unknown Land, which became the treasure hunter's Bible for Casa Grande. He described the massive temple and offerings still visible inside: arrows, jewels, exotic feathers, and articles of immense value, all placed to appease the gods. After Kino died in 1711, another priest named Agustin de Campo decided to break the Pima superstitions. He burned timbers from the sacred building. He threw the Pima offerings from the temple. Then he demanded the Pimas tell him where the treasure was buried. The Pimas remained absolutely silent. Here's a Spanish priest, representing the most powerful empire on earth, desecrating their sacred temple, and they still wouldn't reveal the location. That's not fear of a curse. That's devotion to protecting something of immense importance. If this were just one treasure at one site, that would be impressive. But remember those 100 cities. Each had a temple. Each temple had a treasury. The implications are staggering. Father Ignacio Javier Keller visited in 1742 and described structures stretching half a league in length and depth, about a mile and a half of buildings, divided into blocks 3 and 4 stories high, with massive reservoirs and canals. This was a civilization rivaling anything in Europe. Then Father Jacobo Settlemeyer, exploring in the 1740s, added another tantalizing detail. He expressed hope that pearls might be found in these rivers. Why specifically mention pearls? Because he recognized something. The Hohokam were trading with the Gulf of California, bringing back shells for jewelry making. And the Spanish were harvesting hundreds of pounds of pearls from that same Gulf. If the Hohokam imported shells, they almost certainly imported pearls too. Suddenly we're talking about oyas filled with emeralds, jade, and pearls, scattered across 100 temple sites. Archaeological excavations confirmed what the Spanish suspected. The Hohokam were master craftsmen who created intricate jewelry from turquoise and Gulf shell. They had the technical ability to work precious stones, trade routes extending hundreds of miles, and the cultural sophistication to accumulate vast wealth. When American explorers rediscovered these ruins in the 1800s, they were awestruck. Colonel Hodge found a building 6 miles east of Phoenix that was 275 feet long and 130 feet wide, its debris forming a mound 30 feet high. J.R. Bartlett found similar structures near Tempe, each aligned precisely to the cardinal directions, suggesting astronomical and religious significance. These were ceremonial centers, treasury buildings where wealth accumulated over centuries, and when the Hohokam left, they left it all behind. Which brings us to today's treasure hunters, pursuing these treasures with remarkable intensity. An oya of emeralds would be worth millions, possibly tens of millions if exceptional quality. Ancient jade commands similar prices. And Gulf of California pearls. The sky's the limit. But these aren't accidental discoveries. Successful treasure hunters aren't stumbling upon these caches by luck. They're doing exhaustive historical research combined with archaeological knowledge and geographical analysis. The key lies in understanding the pattern. The Hohokam built temples with specific orientations, always aligned to cardinal directions. They placed them near water sources and irrigation canals. They constructed them with viewing holes aligned with the rising sun. This systematic approach repeated across all 100 cities. If you can decipher the pattern at Casa Grande, you can potentially locate the other 99 sites. And here's the beautiful part. While Casa Grande became a national monument in 1918, protected and off-limits, the other 99 sites mostly sit on private land across southern Arizona, legal, searchable, waiting. So what's in these oyas? The Spanish described chalchigites, stones of emerald quality. If the Hohokam were connected to the Aztec trade network, these are almost certainly genuine emeralds. The Aztecs had them in such abundance that Cortez's men couldn't carry all they found. But even if not true emeralds, the alternative is equally valuable. High-quality jade, which ancient cultures valued more than gold, would fetch a staggering fortune on today's market. Either way, the finder wins. Then there are the pearls. The Spanish were commercial pearl divers in the Gulf of California, extracting hundreds of pounds annually. They knew pearls. If Settlemeyer thought they might be in Hohokam treasuries, he had solid reasoning. Add turquoise jewelry, exotic trade goods, and precious metals, and you're looking at treasures that dwarf most legendary finds in North America. But perhaps the most intriguing question isn't what's in the treasures or where they are. It's why the Hohokam left them behind. A civilization doesn't abandon a fortune unless something catastrophic happens. The Pimas said Apache raids drove the Hohokam away, but that doesn't explain leaving the treasures. You might flee from an enemy, but you take your most precious possessions. Unless those possessions were sacred, unless disturbing them violated fundamental religious beliefs. The treasures might have been dedicated to temples, bound by oaths that transcended survival. The Pimas' refusal to reveal the location, even under Spanish pressure, suggests religious prohibition so serious that death was preferable to violation. The treasures aren't just sitting there waiting. They're protected by something more powerful than any physical barrier, centuries of religious conviction that made them untouchable, even to those who knew exactly where they were. Today, Casa Grande stands in the Arizona desert, protected by a modern steel canopy, silent testimony to a vanished civilization. 2 miles north of Coolidge, tourists walk through it daily, probably unaware that somewhere nearby lies a fortune that would change their lives forever. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more great content. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.